Sure, well, thank you, and it's really great to be here and to be with a very intelligent panel of dissenters. I want to talk and use the 5 minutes I have to talk about my experience both studying at Warwick, being a university student, but also from a kind of free speech point of view, working also part-time for the Free Speech Union. What I want to talk about is two things. First, I want to talk about politics and friendship and this kind of nitty sort of hellish relationship that these two things have. And then finally talk about maybe something akin to a solution, or at least an attempt at one. So the first thing I want to say is, I don't think universities are as bad necessarily as it's kind of made out in this space. You hear phrases like, oh my God, the woke cancel culture in universities, no one's being educated anymore. But given my experience, things aren't necessarily that bad. However, there really is a point, and this was made in the blurb, about politics and friendship. Now, I would argue that usually the former should, politics and friendship, so the friendship should transcend politics. But what's happening now in the current age that we're in is we're seeing the other way around. We're seeing politics transcending friendship, assuming I got the order the right way around. And I personally haven't had this problem, but I know a lot of people doing it. And as Sam said, we don't want to say things that kind of offend other people. We're groupish creatures. We like people pleasing. And therefore, in the current age that we live in of Gaza and trans and everything else, dissent, challenging, disagreeing is actually really difficult. So I've seen this personally with Israel-Palestine. So I have friends who are not even taking sides, but have been cancelled by their own friends because they're not failing to criticize Israel. Same thing with an event I organized last year at my university with Nina Power, who's actually here today and just spoke an hour ago. I invited her to talk about young men and young women, not in any trans context, but just about masculinity, about feminism, because I think these are really important discussions. But as some of you might know, Nina was also gender critical feminist, which at a university is like a recipe for hell and disorder. And one of my friends said to me a few weeks ago, Vinay, we don't have enough women in the society. So me being me, I thought, okay, well, let's just invite a feminist then. It turns out we invited the wrong kind of feminist. And again, that kind of prompts pushback, right? I was like, well, we've got a feminist. And this person put on their Instagram story, oh, I'm so excited about this event. And I was like, okay, you probably will regret saying that later on. And their friends went, oh, this is the wrong kind of feminist. So again, we're kind of parroted and sort of kind of captured by groupthink. And I see this a lot in relation to Gaza. And I really think this is a real shame, because in life, our relationships, who we are as people should transcend our politics. Yet in the polarizing era we're in, we're not seeing that. And that's something I think is a real big problem. So that's food for thought. And obviously we can debate that. Now, ideally, I wish the solution were legislative. And it's funny because I'm not actually a fan of top-down stuff. But the Higher Education Freedom of Speech bill that the Free Speech Union, who I work for, worked very hard to get passed, as a lot of you are aware, has kind of been paused by a click of a finger and is probably going to be eliminated, which is really a shame, because the whole point of that bill was to kind of encourage a culture of free speech on campus, which I really think is lacking. Okay, so we have this problem. We have this problem of, assuming it's a problem, I think it is, of politics and friendship. We have a problem of the fact that the current government aren't really doing anything about it. Again, the reason why they want to pause the bill is because they don't want to harm marginalized groups. Again, the same kind of critical theory arguments about hate speech kind of creeping in, which again, obviously we can debate those. I just don't think those are useful for protecting freedom of speech. So what do we do? And I'll use this as an excuse to plug two things that I'm doing, not for selfish means, but maybe hopefully to show that something can be done if you really want to do something about it. So other than joining Living Freedom, which you should all do, even though I was not paid to say this, Living Freedom are absolutely incredible. If you're young, if you're under 30, you must join. I've met all these people here, some of the people in the audience, seriously incredible people who are real dissenters and really interesting and really open to debate. So join that. But the other thing I would say is do something about it, right? So I'm very lucky. I go to a very good university. I've met some incredible people, some very intelligent people. And therefore, I thought, okay, well, if we got all these people in the same room, we might actually learn something from each other. So I decided to set up my own free speech society. We host debates, we host discussions with speakers. Some of them are here this weekend. And I think that helps satisfy the void, because our role is not to kind of kick back against the woke cancel culturing mob that's on campus. I don't really care about that, right? I think they're a tyranny of a vocal minority. But I think that at least helps satisfy the void. If we just do one thing, if someone tells their truth, if someone challenges the speaker or learn, then my job is simply done. So we have to show that debate, discussion is normal, and that's the one big thing we're trying to do. And the last thing is, from a Free Speech Union point of view, is funding, money, because a lot of grassroots initiatives don't have funding and don't have money. So as Alistair kind of hinted at, we run an initiative called the Ian McTaggart Fund, which is a funding program for young people. We offer grants to young people interested in free speech on campus. We've supported established debating societies, new debating societies growing in numbers, and also individual projects, some of whom are even in the room today. So go talk to them and they can tell you how good it is. But from a serious point of view, what this does is it again is helping to change the culture and showing these things are normal. So obviously we're in a tough position, we're in a tough predicament, and I think I would certainly accept that. But there's something we can do. We have agency, we have the free will, we have the ability to do something different. And even if, because I really believe, and this is what I'll close on, I really believe that in this situation, this problem that we face, there's a tyranny of a vocal minority to kind of appropriate J.S. Mill and kind of turn it on its head. But beneath that, there is the silent majority. I've spoken to a lot of people, and that doesn't mean they exist, but they do, right? Who want to debate, who want to discuss, but are scared. And all it takes is courage, as Sam said. All it takes is telling the truth and speaking the truth. And maybe they might come out the shadows. And I don't know, maybe it will make your life a bit better. So we have responsibility as Gen Z, and others to take control, to take initiative and use our agency. So I think there is a cause for some optimism, although you can all dissent and tell me how wrong that is in a bit. So yeah, thank you.